le monna o mongwe wa tsotsi wa pretenda o ka re ke president ya South Africa mara ntho e ke tsotsi ya nkwe kgolo ile ya tla mo Alexander mo ya re itlo aga dintlo tse 1 million.
Sisazi wakha izindlu ezilingana no-1 million. 1 million yezindlu zizowakhiwa lezo zindlu lapha Alexander Mamelane.
Till today, there is no single house that was built by Cyril Ramaphosa in Alexander.
President, it is leadership to admit when you have made a mistake. You can't come here and say you never promised the people of Alexander 1 million houses. You said so.
In addressing precisely the point that you are making, we took care to go back to that recording and listened to it. And had a number of people in my office listening to it and interpreting it because ke boletse ka sepedi.
1 million yezindlu zizowakhiwa lezo zindlu lapha Alexander
Kaya Bulela, and to the extent, Honorable Malema, that it created this impression that I said 1 million houses for Alexander.
Zizowakhiwa lezo zindlu lapha Alexander Mamela.
You are going to build 1 million houses for the people of Alexander,
which objectively would not be possible anyway, because we just don't have the land there to build the 1 million houses.
It is important that today you admit that you made a mistake.
And to the extent that it created that impression, yes, I will say I apologize for having made people believe that I meant for Alexander. What I really meant was, yes, we would want to build 1 million houses for the whole country.
Nazanga rabona Alexander iula kuibali dintlo mo Alexander rno wananko ya Cyril iula para Alexander iula
ezilingana no-1 million.
Tumgodoi.
1 million yezindlu zizowakhiwa lezo zindlu lapha Alexander.
Here are the problems that are facing the ANC. The habit of telling lies.
1 million houses was in the fragmentation of those who propagated.
How many did he promise?
1 million yezindlu zizowakhiwa lezo zindlu lapha Alexander.
We should be vigilant so that we don't have Imigodoi taking charge of our lives.
You have the last election, you took the president to Alexander and he promised people 1 million houses.
It was never 1 million.
Sisazi wakha izindlu ezilingana no-1 million.
What, it was what, 1,000?
No, it was never even 1,000. The 1 million houses was in the fragmentation of those who propagated.
How many did he promise?
1 million yezindlu zizowakhiwa lezo zindlu lapha Alexander Mamelane.
It was not 1 million. It was almost 100,000 houses that we wanted.
How many of those have you built since he made that promise in 2019 before the last election?
2019 was just 2 years ago.
Yeah, so?
Yes.
So you need more than 2 years to build a house?
No, we are building every day. As we
in Alexander?
As we speak now, we are building
in
houses.
Alex?
We are building houses.
But in Alex?
Even in Alex. We are building houses everywhere.
There's not a single house that was built in Alex after that promise he made.
Stop dreaming. Take a decision. Wake up.
On a point of order.
In 2018, SONA, you came here and said, guided by the resolution of the 54th National Conference of the Governing Party, the approach to the land reform will include expropriation of land without compensation. In January this year, you repeated and said, we will support the work of the Constitutional Review Committee tasked with the review of Section 25 of the Constitution to set a provision of expropriation of land without compensation. Now that you have been elected, you turn your back on the promises you made to the electorate because you undermine our people like that. Last week, you have completely retreated on expropriation of land without compensation and nationalization of the Reserve Bank. But let us warn you, if you do not respect the resolution of your own conference, imagine what message you are sending to those who did not want you to be the president. You are saying to them that the decision or the outcome of you being elected as a president is not binding, since all other decisions taken in the same conference are not binding. What is the state of our country today, President, is unemployment, which has reached a new high level of 27.6%, meaning over 9.9 million young people are unemployed in South Africa. We must create jobs, because when you say you are going to create 2 million jobs in 10 years, you are simply saying to almost more than 7 million young people that you are not going to get jobs for the next 10 years. That's why you are saying 2 million. An honest president would have said, even if you elected me, the 7 million of all of you will not get jobs, because I've got no plan to create jobs. Comrade President, it must be made clear that the crisis in higher education will not be resolved, particularly under the new leadership of the Department of Higher Education. It has got no capacity. It has demonstrated before that it doesn't have the interest of black child at heart. Let us warn you that this free education you have promised our people is not being delivered. There are no proper libraries. Our children are not receiving the learning material because NSFAS doesn't have capacity to give those children learning material. No access to food, no accommodation, and that is what constitutes the life of our children today. So, Comrade President, we don't need an ample free education. We need a real free education where there will not be registration fee, where all children who qualify to get a seat at tertiary level will only be required to produce their matric result, and that will earn them a seat at that level. We must make it very clear, Mr. President, that it is not going to happen in South Africa, the issue of resolving inequality, if we do not resolve the land question. We must therefore warn you that if you do not expropriate land without compensation and return it to its rightful owners, the democratic project remains in a permanent threat. Our people are going to engage in an unled revolution because they will be fighting for what rightfully belongs to them. We said here in warning the ANC that we cannot use the land question to encourage people to vote for us. It is an emotive issue, and when we speak about it, we must be meaning it, not what you did to the electorate. We will never resolve the social ills in our society if we do not resolve the land question. If we do not change the patterns of property ownership in South Africa, white people will continue to think that they are superior because they own the means of production. We make no apology. Neither are we ashamed to repeat the call that the land must be expropriated for equal redistribution. The first and the most practical step towards creating quality life for our people is by giving them the land. We must not retreat in our endeavor to amend the Constitution to allow the expropriation without compensation. Mr. President, we will not win a fight against corruption if the president is involved in allegation of money laundering. We want the president to come clear, that to explain and take the country into confidence as to who are the people who donated money in the CR17 campaign. and what do they stand to benefit. I'm not even sure if your party policy allows that you must set up a fund to finance a campaign if you want to become this or that in your own party. We need the names, not leaked documents, Mr. President. You ought to call all these trustees and say to them, they must give you a report of who donated money and what are the expectations of those people. We don't have an intention, none whatsoever, to remove you as a president because your people have elected you democratically. But if you are going to come across as being a constitutional delinquent, we'll be left with no option but to engage in an impeachment process against you. We want you, President, where a mistake was committed, to take full responsibility and announce which practical steps you are going to take in correcting those mistakes. We don't see anyone in your party, if we were to be removed tomorrow, who can replace you. Otherwise, we'll all be in a disaster. So we are in a disaster now. We don't want to be in a worse disaster. Please help South Africa by taking it into your confidence. Make sure that you lead by example. You are a human being. You will commit mistake. Where you have committed a mistake, you must come out and confess and say, South Africans will decide my fate. Don't be the most dishonest person beyond the one who came before you. We thought we were in a worse situation. We don't want to be in a more worse situation than we were before. We want a president that is ethical, a president that is honest, a president that opens up and say, how do we fix this mistake which was committed in my name? President, we must tell you that people are poverty-stricken now. People are unemployed now. People are landless now. People are being raped now. Crime is too high now. They are not dreaming about it. That is the reality of their life. Stop dreaming. Implement programs that are going to change their lives. How can an ordinary man walk into a shop holding 100 rand in his pocket with the power to buy a cold drink, arrive at the shelf and say to a shopkeeper, I dream of buying a cold drink, when you've got the power to buy a cold drink? You've got no luxury to dream. You are a president. You are an implementer. You've got the power to make things happen. You want a bullet train? Stop dreaming. Announce how you are going to do a bullet train. If you don't know, ask Paul Mashatile. He spoke about monorail at some point in Gauteng and demonstrated how it can be done from Johannesburg to Soweto. We were still traumatized by Gautrain. We said we don't want monorail. You come here worse than Paul Mashatile. You just say bullet train from here to there. You don't tell us how it's going to be done. You want to create a city. Stop dreaming. Tell us of the land where you want to create a city. How long will it take you? How much you need to create the city? You've got the power to do so. You've got the power to fight corruption. Don't be scared of corrupt individuals. They will not remove you. You are a president now. Don't worry whether you'll come back or not. Take a decision now. You've got the power to take the decision. Stop dreaming about taking decisions when you've got the power to take a decision. When you appointed Honorable Praveen against public...
Kodwa ngihamba no minister wethu we-human settlement wezindlu bane-program mamelani kahle bane-program ebhekane nalo leli lonke lakithi lase-South Africa. I-program ethi sisazowakha izindlu ezilingana no-1 million. 1 million yezindlu zizowakhiwa lezo zindlu lapha e-Alexander Mamelane. lapha Alexander sisazobhekisisa kahle indaba yomhlaba. Sisazobhekisisa kahle indaba yomhlaba ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi masakha izindlu siyakha izindlu ngendlela efanele. Abanye benu baye bahanje.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dr. John Suwaina TV. Please subscribe. Bye for now till we meet again next time. Subscribe, please. Don't forget to like and to comment. Thank you very much. Dr. John Suwaina TV, Mutsonga wa Xiviri from Limpopo. Goodbye till we meet again next time. Subscribe.